It's June in the real world, but we are peering into the future for comics coming out in August and beyond for episode 162 of the Campus Comics Cast. My name is Scott Reed, and I am joined on this episode by
Mike Atchison
and Chad Schubert.
And the big news this month related to previews is that coming September, apparently the previews catalog will be getting a little bit thinner, as Image has announced that they are going to dump Diamond for Lunar, which has become a common theme, amongst a lot of the comic distributors. So when you heard this, Mike, what was your initial reaction to this news?
It was sort of like I wasn't surprised. I don't know that I mean, it's not like I had any kind of inside information, but it seemed like this was a trend, and with the Image being sort of the last holdout of the big publishers, the big three at least, it seems to be portend a sign of more bad things to come for Diamond. I mean, the press release that Diamond had was still kind of like saying that they're going to look forward to a working relationship with Image in other areas, but I think they said the same thing with DC, but that never panned out. So,
well, what's different, I guess, with Image is that Diamond is still going to handle like their trades and collected materials to bookstores and larger purchases, but it's just the Image monthly stuff that's going into comic shops.
The direct market.
The direct market stuff that Lunar is going to be taking care of. So they're not, and I personally wonder, like, which is actually the bigger business, the monthly comics or the trades? And who knows, maybe there's a bigger business on the trade side anyway, and maybe Diamond's happy with this. I can't imagine they're happy with it, but it may not be as big of a blow as what it feels like, if the bigger business is potentially the collected stuff.
Yeah.
But isn't it ironic that Lunar is also the sister company to DCBS, or it's owned by DCBS and In Stock Trades, which also deals in trades. So
Lunar will have to get their trades from Diamond. No, I don't know. That's probably not the case.
No, well, the exclusiveness is that they get their individual issues, but I guess that they'll play fair with both, like Marvel does, how Marvel does with, because they're not exclusive to Penguin, right?
They're Panda or Penguin Random House, right? But anybody can get their books, and I know several people are still ordering their Marvel from Diamond instead of creating a separate, Penguin Random House account. So, but Image started with Diamond, and when all of this with DC and Marvel switching over, I vaguely remember Todd McFarlane making a big statement about them sticking with Diamond, and well, they eventually had to bite the bullet. And I wonder what happened. That Diamond says we can't do what Lunar's doing. That's kind of what surprises me is.
Yeah, what's the business side of it that really made it happen?
Because you have to figure that Lunar is cutting them a better deal in some shape, form, or fashion than what Diamond was willing to give Image. So,
something I heard today at a shop was that Penguin Random House does not charge any shipping at all. And as we've discussed before, Diamond shipping is
ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be ridiculous anyway.
Yeah.
So
right.
But they may be offering smaller discounts, but with the cost of shipping, then and you probably have to have much larger minimum order.
Yeah.
Penguin Random House to offset the free shipping would be my guess. But that's probably something it should be investigated to see what is the deal with Penguin Random House. Eventually, we'll find out what the deal for Image is with Lunar, see what the discounts are. I know the discounts especially for smaller orders from Lunar, are lower than what they were from Diamond. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe that's going to mean that Image is going to get a bigger cut when they sell a book through Lunar is probably what it's going to boil down to. So
that could be it. Yeah.
right. Shad, you got anything you want to add to this?
No, I think that for anybody that's doesn't as we kind of know personally, it's like if you're just going through Lunar for your DC books, you may not be getting them regularly with their shipping schedule. But now that Image is on top of that, then that's going to be nice for that side of things. I mean, I think the biggest thing that we're going to see, especially in this show, is that our Image books are going to be in the Lunar catalog now. They're not going to be in the previous catalog, so we're going to have to start reading Next Phase every month as well, and getting our hands on. I think we talked before the show. It's like, do they have a physical copy of Next Phase, or is that strictly digital? It's laid out nicely. Clue. I mean, it's a nice catalog as far as the visuals on it, and it's plenty of page space. So I'm curious to see how they end up doing it, because if it is strictly digital only, it makes for a much better catalog because they don't have to worry about page count. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Next Phase this month was a 70-something page catalog, and you got pretty large covers for everything and preview pages and everything that was pretty nice for even small publishers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to look at one of these because I've never actually looked at the Lunar catalog before. So.
Neither have I.
All right, so question, hot take. Mike, is Diamond dead within the next 2 years?
I think I don't know that they'd be dead. They have enough diversification in their products that they can probably, if they really work at it, rebrand and adjust what they're distributing, because there are things in here you just don't see anywhere else. Mm-hmm. I think they could probably, acquire some. I always think about the supplies. They don't really promote supplies. They just put an ad and says, this is the company, and you have to get with your retailer about getting the bags and boards, or statues, toys, games, whatever. Maybe they can expand in those areas. I don't think they'll go away. They're just going to punt.
Shad, hot take.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go away either. I think that they'll have to change strategy. They'll get smaller. They'll find different ways to do it. And maybe we will. I mean, as the readers and the end result of it all, maybe we'll get a better product. Maybe we'll get maybe shipping will be more competitive, as I've talked about recently already. Diamond talked about trying to be more competitive with their shipping. So I mean, competition's not bad, and having Lunar get a little bit larger and have another giant piece of the pie is probably good for us in the industry, I guess, as the end result reader.
Yeah, I think you're both right. Diamond is going to still be around. And as has been shown over the last year, these major companies can switch to a different distributor, and there's nothing that's going to prevent them from switching back if Diamond can figure out what they need to do to get their business back. Mm-hmm. So
that's very true.
All right. Well, let's talk about DC Comics that are coming out in, what is this, June, July, August.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's not a lot to talk about for me in DC because the first, third of the book is just wrapping up the second month of Night Terrors, which I haven't read. I haven't even read the preview, the Free Comic Book Day book for that yet, so I have no idea what any of that's about. So I don't really have much to say. Anything you guys want to say for the first 15 pages of the DC catalog?
Well, I think I mentioned last month about there was enough teasers out there about, they found an old JLA foe dead, and then they talked about Dr. Destiny because he's a villain that deals in dreams. But what really kind of chafes my rear end is that Dawn of DC is only 2 months old, and all of a sudden they go into a line-wide event that supplants all of those Dawn of DC books, and I felt like they're risking losing momentum with them and interest because of this event. And it's not an event that has a story that is particularly appealing to me. At least what I've seen in the Zero issue or the special edition that came out on Free Comic Book Day, it didn't grab me. I like Damian as a character. He was the lead character in it, but it was a short story. I'm still going to get the main 4 issues, Night Terrors, and maybe a couple of others. But man, are they going all in or what? I mean, you've got, who in the heck would have thought Ravager would have a 1-shot or 2-shot or whatever, or there's a couple other ones in here that I'm thinking, gee, Punchline, yeah,
Angel Breaker,
yes, yeah,
come on, yeah. I'm not even ordering Batman for these 2 months.
Me either.
It's like, why?
To me, it's like a break. It's like it's a break gives my wallet a break.
Yeah. Well, and that, like, doing all of these with all of the crossovers is like, who realistically is buying all of these books for 2 months? It's probably not too many people.
No.
It'd be too much of the same thing.
Yeah.
People having nightmares or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely read the 6 issues that are the alpha, the 4 issues, and the omega, or the beginning and the end, and then the 4 middle. But I'm not going to branch out and read these individuals. I mean, the story seems cool enough for a 6-issue miniseries, essentially.
Yeah.
And they could have just left it at that and not cross over, but they can't help themselves to cross over. They can't.
And if it's good, I mean, I think just read it on the app. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to buy any of these, so I'll just read it on the app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it boils down to, I think I will buy, or I am buying, just the ones written by Williamson. All the other ones, written by other people probably. Now, except for Shazam, I think I'm getting it because it's by Wade.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't think of any other ones I'm getting.
I probably should be picking up Black Adam because it's written by Jeremy Hahn. And of course, he was at my show a few years ago, and he hasn't been doing anything at DC in quite a while. So he's doing both writing and art for that book.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably should pick that up, but I'm just not that interested in Black Adam, so it's a tough call. I don't know. Maybe when the final order cut off for the first issue is out there, maybe I'll change my mind and pull the trigger on it and order me a copy, but I don't know.
So somebody can do that for you, right?
I have the connection.
Yeah, you have the connection.
Yeah. Okay. Page 16 and 17. Weren't these solicited last month?
Yeah, they're resolicited.
0 and 1.
This is like Yogi Berra, deja vu all over again.
Yeah. And I guess I should have went back and looked at the previous issue, but did they change the on sale date? Or, well, here, I'll just do that right now because.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
They or did they just preview it early?
Yeah, I figured it was a delay, but yeah, you could be right. Maybe it was
just
always going to come out in August.
Yeah. So I've actually got issue 36 of DC Connect pulled up, and I'm scrolling through because I know it happens right after Night. Well, not right after Night Terror. Where is it at? Hot Girl. It should be fairly close. Where is it? Okay, now I have no idea. I thought
we just got an early preview of it, and they erased it from the world.
That's
36
right.
never had the Penguin in it.
I guess maybe I don't know. That is the so
Mandela effect.
Weird. Yeah. Okay, seriously, it's got to be in there somewhere.
And while you're looking, it says here in Penguin #1 in the solicit, it says "Revenges for the Birds." That took a lot of work there for Tom King to. Well, I guess he didn't probably come up with that.
Okay, it is literally not in the DC Connect 36 catalog.
Is it in 35 maybe? What if it's that old?
Oh, wow. Okay, that's good. That's a good point. Let me pull up there.
Or you have mad editing skills to to
Well,
edit all this
apparently
out.
not mad enough because that's why. That's the wrong one here. I'm in the wrong tab. All right. No, I'm not editing any of this stuff out. People can see what happens.
This stays
behind
in.
This stays in
Stays in.
because this is something that I think.
Everybody's gonna want to know.
No, yeah. Well, it's not so much that, but it's like, how often does this actually happen? It's like,
Right.
does
Well, there's been repeats. I
okay?
know,
It
but
actually
it's
was from DC Connect 35.
32 months old.
2 months
So,
ago.
yes, okay, and the original dates were June, so it has been pushed back not 1 month,
Wow.
but 2 months. So
Holy
Penguin
cow.
#1 was solicited 2 months ago for a June 20th release. It should actually be coming out in 2 weeks, and Penguin Zero, the 13th, should be coming out next week. So they both were pushed back 2 months.
Wow.
And Penguin Zero, it's a reprint.
Yeah.
It's not even a new.
Yeah, it's just
It's
back
not new
issue.
content,
It's
yeah.
it's the back content
It
from
was the
Batman
backstory
run.
in the Batman
Yeah.
book. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. Which
But
was
they probably
pretty
don't
good, I
want it to
thought.
come out
I liked
early.
it.
Yeah.
So okay, so I wasn't crazy, but it did get delayed. All right, good to know. So, all right, now I have to close these extra tabs so that I don't start flipping through that old catalog and seeing what's going on there. So 20 is my next thing in the DC book.
Um,
I marked 18 and 19 for the same reason, pretty much. 18 is Superman 2023 annual, and it supposedly kicks off the massive Superman crossover in 2024. So could be feature a new character that flies under the radar for a big event that is being hinted at for next year. Page 19, which is Action Comics presents Doomsday Special #1, is part of the same thing where it talks about kicking off the next big event, and also features new creatures called Doomhounds.
sounds cool.
Yeah.
On page 27, I'm up to it. But Scott said 20, I think.
Yeah, so Hawk Girl #2, and I'm not sure why it's not Hawk Woman, but it features potentially a new character, Galaxy. Now, this is a character that actually showed up in a young adult graphic novel. So I need to find out if this is actually going to be the character's first comic book appearance.
But she had do you count a free comic book day comic as a first appearance?
Oh, absolutely.
So she had her own free comic book day preview of the graphic novel last year. Galaxy did.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question then. I don't know how I feel about that.
So it was the free comic book day as the preview, then the graphic novel, and then this would be the first in universe, I think, appearance.
I guess so. Yes. So I guess that would still be the case, but the in universe is not a big deal as just the first comic. It's like the Harley Quinn thing. She shows up in the animated series,
right? Exactly.
Before she gets a comic book series, or like Star-Lord was in the Marvel magazine.
Yeah.
In a Marvel comic. So anyway, that could be something to keep an eye out for.
Well, on the same page, another first appearance, I think, is this Meta Woman that they're talking about in Unstoppable Doom Patrol #5. I don't think that she is in anything prior to. It seems like Meta Woman is a new character.
Okay. I'm sitting here looking at the solicit and I still don't. Oh, there, Enter Meta Woman. Okay. It takes place in New Poplar, Illinois.
Is that a real place?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
But it's a small town. We don't know about any small towns in Illinois.
No, not at all.
So
no, there's Poplar Grove, but New Poplar does not exist.
Well,
so
yeah.
a fictional small town.
I've heard of Poplar Bluffs too, somewhere.
Right, that's in Missouri, right?
That's in Missouri, yeah.
Okay, so that might be interesting just to see how they portray, small town Illinois,
right,
in a comic. So I don't have anything until 31. So Mike, you said you had something on.
I'm always happy to see when the 90s come back in some way, shape, or form with the swimsuit edition.
Well, you know what that is, though, don't you? The uncovered. No. It's the reprints of the variant covers from the last couple of months where they had all the swimsuit covers.
Oh, I did not know that.
I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Because
Kind of like what they did with Harley Quinn with her, or what was it called? She had an issue, the one with the Crisis #7 homage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So
It does
Yeah,
have some stories in it, but it says features some swimtacular stories.
Yeah. See,
But
because
as well as the cover gallery is the main focus.
because they're doing cover galleries also for Catwoman and Poison Ivy.
Okay.
So if you look at the two previous solicits in DC, that's where the Catwoman uncovered and the Poison Ivy uncovered, and then this is the Nort's Illustrated Swimsuit Edition, which they're putting together with the uncovers because it's primarily, I think, just showing covers. So
yeah,
and
it's 48 pages and it probably has a 12-page story in it.
Mm.
Yeah, probably something like that. So.
Seeing Poison Ivy on the page before reminds me of something I seen online today. It was G. Willow Wilson talking about Poison Ivy and her whatever storyline where she's based in Seattle. And the headline says, G. Willow Wilson introduces Seattle to the DC Comics universe.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm thinking, I know Seattle. There have been other characters that were based in Seattle. Case in point was Green Arrow and the Longbow Hunters, and that entire series, they were all based in Seattle. So kind of annoyed me that they acted like that was the first time that Seattle was ever represented in the comics.
Right.
Well, we talked about having short memories with comic stories. So I guess we're not the only ones.
Yeah. Or they're not counting on us to remember that. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, facts just get in the way of good story.
Right.
Well, if it was Marvel, we'd give you a no prize. So,
Yeah, right.
My next thing's 31.
Not till 39.
36.
All right, so Peacemaker Tries Hard #4, written by Kyle Starks. I still need to read the first issue, but issue 4 or 6, just throwing that out there. And I'm going to mention Kyle Starks again in someplace unexpected.
Really?
Foreshadowing. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun.
What? Yeah, go ahead.
36. Power Girl returns. This is sort of a 136-page softcover that compiles some of the recent Power Girl stories. And the reason I bring it up is that she's sort of being reimagined now. She's not a typical Kryptonian. They kind of are changing her power set, and they're even changing her name, her alias. She was known, of course, as Kara Zor-El, as originally, because she was the Earth 2 version of Supergirl. But eventually, her Earth name was Karen Starr. So now I can only assume, because Karen is carries such a the name Kara carries such a stigma.
Yeah.
That they are calling sort of a sounded out version of PG, which stands for Power Girl. They're calling her Paige.
Huh.
Which I'm like, I don't know. I'm not. I'd rather they just call her Kara. I mean, it's not that weird. It's not like some alien name, but it's unfortunate that because the Karen name carries such negative, that they're just falling right into that. To me, it's not really fair to all the Karens of the world.
No,
I mean, nobody else in the world are going to get to change their name. So it's kind of bogus, and it kind of ticked me off, and that's why I talked about it. But the cover by Art Germ is not too bad.
Chad, I think you were next. Yeah.
Yes, I am. On page 39 is the Dead Boy Detectives Omnibus, and we just finished reading and reviewing volume 1 of Dead Boy Detectives. This has this, as well as I think everything that has been published with the Dead Boy Detectives, excluding the newest series that just wrapped up under the Sandman Universe banner. So if you like the Dead Boy Detectives for $100, you can get all 800 pages of Dead Boy Detectives, which is pretty cool.
Do you have these issues already?
I think I've got almost all of them. Yeah.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, almost all of them. There's a part of me that wants this on my shelf, though, anyways.
Yeah.
Even though it would just be a double buy on 90% of it.
An 800-page hardcover, that would look good.
Yes, absolutely. I
Especially
probably would
for
never crack
somebody.
it open.
No, probably not, but it looks good on the shelf.
That's right.
Yeah, I earmarked it too because I knew you'd probably pick it.
Yeah, and I marked it for you, Shad, too, just because
Oh,
I wanted to ask you if you already had them all. So
yes, yeah, yeah. I think like some of the, I don't know. I'm even looking at them, and I think I don't have. No, I may have every single one of these. I take that back because I've got all the Children's Crusade. I've got the Winter's Edge 3. Yeah, I think I might have all this.
Well, it's like I have the, several single issues from the Silver Surfer series. I have the individual like trades, and then I have the hardcover omnibus entire series. So I can't say anything negative if you decide to buy this. So.
You love what you love.
That's right.
Yep. I've got many variations of Crisis.
Yes.
I've only got one thing left on 47.
Okay, and I'm done.
43. I just now noticed. Fables 161. This is the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's the penultimate issue of the 12-issue extension that Bill Willingham has put out, and Mark Buckingham, of the Fables story of that entire run, which was a nice long run and one of the better series in the history of comics, if you ask me. And so we're down. It's been delayed a few times over the last year or so, but it's down to the second to last issue. And I've been buying the individual issues, but I've decided I'm not going because I was worried about delays. I wasn't going to read any of them until they were all out.
And on 47, I don't know why this caught my eye. It's the Fellspire Chronicles Book 1. So did we ever talk about this book when it was coming out in individual issues?
I don't know
what it is.
Oh, that's the
Last God, right? That's the.
Okay, so is that what that is?
Yes, that's so. It's the Last God is when they talk about the Fellspire Chronicles Book 1. Is evidently it was the Last God, and then the subtitle of it was Fellspire Chronicles Book 1.
Okay.
So, and then, but I don't know what the Song of the Last Children or Tales from the Book of Ages are. If those were like one shots that just kind of flew under the radar.
They could have been one shots, or they could have been second stories in those issues.
I
don't know. I don't know.
You could be right. Absolutely.
But
I never read Last God. Did you guys read it?
No.
I
have the first issue. I actually have several copies of the first issue sitting around, and I never read any of them.
Maybe we should mark it.
Maybe we should mark that as something. I don't know. We'll think about it. So
it's like high fantasy, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I just like this cover for some reason, and
it's cool.
Caught my eye going through the catalog. So
Johnson's done a really good job. Philip Kennedy Johnson, that is. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed his Action Comics, and he's still writing it. And he's doing the John Stewart backup in Green Lantern. And I listened to an interview with him, and he's in the Army, plays the trumpet in the Army band, which is, he's got a really cool story. I something about him I just kind of like. So now I feel like I want to support him whichever way I can. So I wouldn't mind us covering some of that.
It's in the notes.
It's in the notes. Awesome. All right. So that gets us through DC.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So on to a Marvel. Let's see. My first thing's on page 2. And I know it's expensive to digitally print covers for these things. So I'm going through the Marvel Previews catalog. And the first thing that I see is the Daisy Duck Gwen variant for issue 23 or 32 of Amazing Spider-Man for Disney 100. Because I don't know what the cover is.
The cover is Immortal Thor #1.
Okay. All right. But Uncanny Avengers on page 2, I think. This is basically where the Avengers and the X-Men kind of form a team. And they call themselves the Uncanny Avengers. This has happened one or more times before, right? But the thing that really strikes me about this, I'm not going to buy it unless I buy it for the cover, is this connecting variant cover on the left of the Avengers. So you have like all of these various Avengers, and I don't know what it connects with, but I mean, you got Jarvis and Namor and Hercules and Tiger and Ant-Man and Hellcat, and Scarlet Witch, and you can see like part of, I think that's supposed to be Mockingbird and She-Hulk and Giant Man and Yondu, and, all of these. And I want to know what I don't know if each issue is going to have. I bet it's going to be each issue is going to have a separate connecting variant.
Yeah, and then it'll probably be this giant thing of Avengers and X-Men together.
Which would make for a great poster.
Well, I think there's going to be a separate X-Men one. So like the one on the right.
Oh, you think that's going to be the separate? Okay.
So it's going to be like an A and B cover. I don't think those two covers are going to connect.
Okay.
But they could. I mean, but with the background look, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
But this X-Men one looks like an homage to the Jim Lee X-Men Volume 2 one. It just has that similar look, just Alex Ross instead of Jim Lee. So. But anyway, I don't even care about the book. I just like.
Yeah, they're good looking
cover. So yeah.
But it looks like the main cover. I mean, I guess whatever's on the opposite page here, like Cap is the only non-mutant, isn't he? When you look at this group?
Let's see here. Quicksilver, Psylocke, Deadpool, Rogue. Oh, who is that? I don't know who the red character is.
I don't either. She looks like.
I think they named her Monet. Huh. Okay.
Monet.
Yeah, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cap is the only non-mutant.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess he's the one that formed the team. So.
Yeah. He can pick his mutants if he wants
That's
to.
That's right. He has a reason for it. So.
He's Cap.
Page 4, Immortal Thor #1, written by Al Ewing. They were saying that Thor gets the immortal treatment, which I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or not. After we went through Immortal Hulk, it started so strong and did not end well, I think. So
yeah, it makes you wonder what the immortal treatment, what they mean by that. Is it going to be like?
Well, what it meant for Hulk and eventually for She-Hulk was that they could not die. So, Thor has quote unquote died in the past, but he's come back. So, to me, that's what it's supposed to mean to get the immortal treatment. I don't know. We'll see if that holds up, because Thor was dead once before, and then as a quote unquote god, small g god. What ultimately brought him back to the Marvel Universe is that enough people believed in him. So it was like their belief power that brings him back.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll tie into that. That was back from the J. Michael Straczynski run. Somebody else we'll talk about later on, of Thor, how he came back from dying previously. So I don't know if that's going to be the god treatment or the immortal treatment or something else. Well, I guess we'll have to read it and see. And I have to decide if I want to read it.
Yeah, I haven't either. What's also interesting is that Hickman has a 1-page at the end of it for Who Are the Gods, the G period, O period, D period, S period. And it's like, okay, well, does Hickman have his hands in this also? Because if so, I don't know if I want to play in a world where Hickman and Ewing are like building worlds together. That seems like it's going to get really complicated real quick.
You have to pay a lot of attention to what's going on and hope that it gets out on a fairly reasonable time schedule, because Hickman can sometimes get way behind.
Yeah.
This artist, Martin Coccolo, I don't know that I recognize that name. Has he done something else that you are aware of?
I'm not aware of anything.
I mean, it looks good.
But that also means absolutely nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a bad tendency sometimes whenever I'm reading a comic to skip the credits. And I keep telling myself, you need to read the credits. That way, if you find, a story you really like or an artist, you can, when you see their name again, it's like, buy that, because the art's going to be good or the story's going to be good.
Right.
And I don't do it. I just blow right past. And I think part of it is because when you read digitally, right, sometimes it skips the credits box.
Yeah.
It's so I just have to make a point.
Reading on like the Kindle app for sure takes you right to the first page of content. It definitely skips all that.
Well, even when you do the panel by panel, right? Sometimes it doesn't, even on a full page, it will skip the credits section and not zoom in on that, so. All right, page 7. Okay, I still haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse 2, so I haven't watched that yet. I'm excited for that, but in comics, I am getting so sick of multiverse stuff. It is just, it's become a terrible trope, right? We got Spider-Verse. Now we've got Venomverse. We have Avengers Forever. DC had the Metalverse. I mean, it's just all over the place. There's just way too much multiverse stuff.
A lot of verses going on.
Yeah, and it used to be something that was special, whenever like you go back to Mike, you go back to the JSA crossovers. That was like a once a year thing.
Yeah.
But now you can't go a month without there being some multiversal crossover, and it's wearing on me. So.
I agree. It's so overdone now. They took the specialness out of it, and it's just another location. I remember that's how you learned about in DC. When they acquired the rights to the Quality characters or to the Fawcett characters, it was through these when they concocted this way, this multi-dimensional barrier that they crossed over into, and you learned about them a little bit at a time, and not now. It's just like you have a big event and it's just poured down your throat.
And they throw out as many variations of characters. Avengers Forever has been bad about this. It's just like, okay, so not to spoil anything, spoiler warning. So like in Avengers Forever, you end up with an army of nothing but Mephistos and an army of nothing but Doctor Dooms, and and it's just like, and then like on the good guys, there's an army of all the Steve Rogers from all the. It's like it just wears on you. It's just like it's just too much. And I feel like
I was happy for the death of the Venomverse.
yeah. I don't believe it's going to happen. No.
Probably not. But
I think it'll stick around.
I was like, good, it'll die.
But if you're desperate for new appearances, issue 2 of the Venomverse is touting Venom Boy. Just throwing that out there. Though, I am going to say though, on this cover, and this covered issue 2 of Death of the Venomverse is where I actually noticed this character. That character center bottom is Agent Venom, and she has a cool look. Now, I have a feeling this is probably another variant of Gwen Stacy, but I don't know that for a fact. So I have a little note to myself. I need to find out about Agent Venom, see what this character is all about. So that's just my note to myself. So
I'm not digging these covers that look like just video game covers, essentially.
Yeah. My next thing's not till page 14.
I got 34, so you're good on my side.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on 14 too.
You're on 14. Well, go ahead.
I just first of all, I like when they have these little contests or, battles of 2 characters, not an entire multiverse of them, but But on page 14, the Spider-Man annual has Stephanie Williams as a writer, and she's one of the best new.
Stephanie Phillips.
I'm sorry, there is a Stephanie Williams, but I said that wrong. Stephanie Phillips. She is a really up and comer. Has written some great stuff. She did some Wonder Woman and a couple other stories I've read. So I think it just caught my eye, so I flagged it. I don't know much about I don't know if you call it an event or.
Well, Marvel used to do in the annuals every year, they would have these annual events, right? So that's where we had like Axis of Evil. No, was that right? That may not be the right title. But like one of them, like the villains all said, hey, we're always losing to our regular superhero. Let's mix it up and fight somebody else's superheroes. There was like a Serpent Crown crossover. They would sometimes, Marvel would just do that through the annual. So now we're getting this Contest of Chaos. So sure enough.
Gotcha.
But I get it's also just another opportunity for 2 good guys to fight each other and see what.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to. You were going to talk about it, so I didn't want to.
No, I don't have anything more to say about it than what you said about it. It just, and I guess the premise of these 4 stories is Agatha Harkness is going to try to build a new Darkhold. I think the old Darkhold is still around, so she's basically putting various 616 heroes against each other. Not multiversal, but as you said, that's good that they're not multiversal, right? But the one that's kind of interesting is this Moon Knight versus Taguchi, who is the Korean like Captain America.
Oh, I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the equivalent there, but I don't know if I'll buy any of them. So, but that's annual crossover. If anybody has fond memories of those.
Yeah.
26 is my next thing.
Still good on my end.
Okay, so 26, Alpha Flight gets a new 5-issue series written by Ed Brisson and art by Scott Godlewski. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that name incorrectly, but it's interesting that, to me, that there's not at least a John Byrne variant cover for one of these, because John Byrne being Canadian, kind of introducing Alpha Flight. He, of course, had the run of Alpha Flight. I just wonder if he had no interest or if Marvel didn't ask him, but they should have. So if they didn't at least try, they're to blame. So
actually, I did have something 2 pages back that I had flagged here. Astonishing Iceman, a new series, 5-issue series written by Steve Orlando and art by Vincenzo Caratu and cover by Jesus Saiz, which he's a great artist. It's just you don't see Iceman very often. You don't see Bobby Drake too doggone often. Maybe he's been in some of the X-Men books, but I always liked those ice powers, and I thought he was a cool X-Man.
Page 30 is where I'm at next.
Yeah, I'm not until 40.
Okay, so X-Men 25, only mentioning this because Kitty Pryde is on the cover with a new superhero identity, which she's sort of used before. Shadow Cat with a K, as opposed to Shadow Cat with a C. And here they're kind of showing a very creepy potential use of her phasing powers on the cover, where she has phased 2 swords into a guy's head and just waiting to unphase. So I don't think there's going to be a very good outcome for that guy if she does unphase there. So 33, the 4-issue series that Marvel is going to tell you absolutely nothing about, and the name of it is not classified. Wait until July to find out the actual title and the actual cover for this 4-issue series. Yeah, it's like, why not just wait till July? You're not getting anybody excited about this.
No, yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, what are you trying to achieve there? I mean, because everybody's got to put in their order for a book that they don't know what it is?
Well, and they don't have an order number. You can't actually order it.
Oh.
Because you won't be able to order it till July.
Well, heck, you could do this all preview long. You just throw a bunch of randoms in there.
Yeah, hey, something coming in August.
Save the date.
That's right. Save the
And we're all going to forget that it was classified next month, and we're going to just think there's a new number 1, and we're not going to think anything of it.
Oh, that's a surprise. The title is actually classified. 39 for me.
I got on 35.
All right.
The Marvel's Voices X-Men. Just to point out that I guess the Voices is no longer about spotlighting certain groups of people. It is about just groups, because we had the Spider-Verse last month or 2 months ago or whatever. And now we're doing X-Men. I'm not mad at the idea of having an anthology. Like, here's just some X-Men stories from some different creators, but you kind of took the premise of Voices away, which
I agree with you 100% on that.
Is a bummer.
So, yeah. I like the premise better when, it was like people of color or Asian Pacific heritage.
Absolutely.
Those were better to me. So
absolutely.
This is just mutants.
Yes.
Yeah, they just kind of shed that, and what they kept was, I guess, it's probably still somewhat of a showcase, for newer talent.
Yeah. It's a new talent and probably a new reader. Like, you could pick up this one book and get a couple of different new X-Men stories.
But you're right. I think they should have kept.
Why can't that just be a one shot? A different X-Men one shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, they've had worse tie-ins.
Use the Marvel Tales.
Hellfire Gala. Yeah, or use Marvel Tales. Exactly.
Yeah.
39. Okay. So I would not mention this at all, but this is my other thing that I'm getting tired of, taking two random characters and matching them together to create a new character. Well, they're doing it again with Ghost Rider and Wolverine, and in Wolverine 36 we get Helverine. So yes, the character nobody asked for, but you are getting. So.
That sounds like a fruit. It's the new variation of tangerines, the Helverine.
Yes. It's a jalapeno with a tangerine.
Yeah,
It's
spicy as heck. Oh my god.
42.
I only had on 40. I had a flag because it's this Magneto's has another limited series here, and it's got a writer, an old mainstay, J.M. DeMatteis, on the writing chores, and Todd Knock on the art chores, which is both of them are great creators, and Magneto's one of the best villains / anti-heroes in either of the big universes. So it might make for a good story.
I am assuming, based on these covers, that these are stories that are taking place in the past.
Yeah, I wondered that. Sort of like Paul Levitt's Avengers run he did.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and you got a new character appearance. IRAE.
IRA?
Yeah. Better flag that one.
Flag that.
Page 42, Captain America finale #1. I for sure this is the end of the Sentinel of Liberty run. I'm making an assumption that it is the end of the Symbol of Truth run on the 2 Captain America titles. I don't know that for sure on the Sam Wilson Symbol of Truth, but I feel like they're wrapping up both titles here in Captain America finale. Don't know what's going to be next for Captain America. We went for several months without a Captain America book before these, and then they started with 2 series. So I don't know if we'll go down to 1, be sit out 5 months. Last time we had a long gap, we got some like Captain America team up books, so maybe that's going to happen again. We'll wait and see what's going to happen. But the current Captain America runs appear to be wrapping up. Then,
on page 44, I am for sure going to get the facsimile giant size X-Men #1, because I guarantee it's the only version of that I will ever have.
Well, I have a previous reprint of that I could sell you rich. So
okay, I can do that. I can do that too. I just won't ever have the original.
Yeah.
Unless you got that real cheap too.
Well, I don't have it real cheap. I've got it, but I don't have it real cheap. So.
You don't have it for sale though either.
I actually don't have it for sale, so that's
right,
one of my keeper books. So.
Kind of like that Animal Man first appearance. I can't get you to come up off that.
I kind of watch for it every once in a while to try to either get a better copy for me or get a similar condition copy for you. So I'm
there you go. I appreciate that. I'm lurking in the back of your mind all the time.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be. Page 45, Marvel Unleashed #1. I blew right past this book and then scrolled up and saw some interesting information. So now I'm talking about it.
Oh yeah.
Written by Kyle Stark.
Yeah.
So if you have not gotten enough Pet Avengers in your life the last few years, it's just Marvel Unleashed as opposed to being called the Pet Avengers. So, and written by Kyle Starks. I'm absolutely going to pick this book up, and at least the first issue. I may read the last 3 digital, but I'm going to be buying the first issue for sure.
Yeah, I think he would handle the tone of a book like this really well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get it too.
Yeah.
Craven's the one that does it.
and I might even, some of his stuff gets a little like, I'm sure I haven't read Peacemaker yet, but I'm sure it's a little a lot of profanity, and you won't get that in this Marvel Unleashed.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes even excessive, He has the book I Hate This Place, except for there's an uncensored version which isn't I Hate This Place. 53 is my next thing.
Okay.
So lots of people are fans of What If stories, which is kind of where I think some of these multiverse and smash up characters and stories should take place and not be part of the main Marvel universe or DC universe. But here on page, I think I must have scrolled past it, page 53, occasionally we get the introduction of some new characters that later on become mainstays in the Marvel use proper. So here we have a new character called Luminary. Don't know if anything will come of that, but if you again are a first appearance collector,
I seen that cover and I wondered who that was, but I didn't really read the text very well because it would have told me that she is new.
Mm-hmm. So, and again, I'm making the assumption that it's a new character. So,
interesting name. I like that.
My next thing's on 70.
I'm not until 97.
Oh wow. So okay, so
I'm on 96.
So page 70, if I can get there. Scrolling. Daredevil and Echo number 4, final issue of the Daredevil and Echo. And I cannot believe that David Mack only did one cover for all 4 of those issues. That was a mistake. And then on page 71, Daredevil 14, implying that this is the final issue of the second volume of the Chip Zdarsky run on Daredevil, which has been really, really good. And there are a lot of things ending in this issue. And I like how they spell end with the DD, so ENDD. But, he says, but of what? A life, a love, a marriage, Matt Murdock's time as Daredevil, or the latest and greatest run on Marvel's most celebrated sagas? All of the above? ? So looks like we'll probably get a new writer on Daredevil starting in September. And I'm done with Marvel, so.
Shag, go ahead. I think I just flagged the opposite page of the same.
Oh yeah, the Miracle Man.
Yeah, so go
Silver
ahead.
Age. Yeah, this is collecting Miracle Man Silver Age, which is the most recent Miracle Man that come out. And I didn't get this out as it was coming out monthly. I was curious if you guys had kept up with it and had read it, and if it was good, if it was worth picking up the trade on.
Well, I have 5 of the 6. I don't think the 6th issue has come out yet, or if it has, I've missed it. But unfortunately, no, I'm so far behind on my non-homework reading that it's there for me, and it hasn't walked away. So I will get to it. But we need actually. This maybe would be a good thing for us to cover sometime, and maybe we read it and then decide. But still, it's a unique character and a unique property.
I also have the issues, and I have not read the first issue yet. So, and I guess that series is ended. So I guess it wasn't a long.
It's ended, but I haven't seen the last issue. Maybe I'm just late in getting it.
I'll put it in the notes.
Okay, so I said I was done, but then I just noticed on the Doctor Strange book on page, I'm not sure what page that is, 74, that there is a bonus page written by Jonathan Hickman, Who Are the Gods?
Oh.
So I just did a search. So there are apparently, let's see, so we have Uncanny Avengers gets a 1-page Hickman story. Immortal Thor gets a 1-page Hickman story about Who Are the Gods. Let's see, where else? So of course he does the Moon Knight 26.
Okay.
Venom 24. Guardians of the Galaxy 5. Scarlet Witch 7. Fantastic Four 10. And Doctor Strange 6. So there are actually 8 books that have a 1-page Jonathan Hickman story, Who Are the Gods?
Okay, gotcha.
So apparently that's going to lead into something. And it's a weird set of books. It's got mutants and Avengers and Doctor Strange and Moon Knight and Fantastic Four. So I don't know. I don't know what to think.
Good catch.
So there you go. Apparently it's going to lead someplace. So. All right. Big book.
Big book.
All right. So don't forget, if you're ordering from previews, catalog orders are due by the 18th of each month. So try to get those in. And I would also encourage you, if you are ordering from a retailer that is still that is using Diamond, that you actually use the Diamond pull box if your store retailer supports it. So, for once, I don't have anything to mention in Image. Nothing new from Image jumped out at me. How about? They have several new number ones, but I just don't really dig any of them. What do you guys think?
I flagged them because I felt like I needed to more than anything. I mean, that was kind of what I thought. The Sacrificers, if I had to pick one of them that I actually thought looked neat, was Sacrificers #1, written by Rick Remender.
And as soon as I saw Remender, I just turned the page.
Yeah,
literally. Yeah,
there's just his success rate is kind of small for me of things I end up liking. But I like the artwork. It looks really cool. But I'll tell you, there was a free Comic Book Day preview of this book, and I was not sucked in by it. And I was just like, okay, well that makes my decision for me that this story. I mean, it's just, the premise is that there's this world where everything's super peaceful, and they have to give a child to maybe the military, or they sacrifice the kid. I don't know. That is kind of vague. In order to keep the peace, and they have a couple of rambunctious children who don't want to follow that, and that's kind of where it goes. But yeah, it didn't grab me the way that I thought it would.
And they have 3 pages of artwork for it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I stepped away. What was the book you were talking about?
The Sacrificers.
The Sacrificers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a flag too. I mean, mostly because Rick Remender was the writer.
Yeah, it's just it seems like it's falling flat for me, but I'd only mention it because the art looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
It looks Jim Henson-y, like if there's definitely like a feeling of Muppets or Dark Crystal Labyrinth kind of style to it.
Muppets in sci-fi are
That's
famous.
Right.
Yeah, if I had to pick of the 4 number ones that I see from Image, and I'm not excited about any of them, I would have to go with the Cull #1.
Yeah.
Me too.
Written by Kelly Thompson. Basically, it kind of has a Goonies, they say, coming of age story, like for fans of the Goonies, but I don't know that I'm going to pick any of it up or not. I'm just not feeling it for any of these #1 issues, and for sure not the Schlub or Quest #1. They don't jump out at me for sure. So
yeah, the Schlub, I blew right by it, but the cover art alone for the Cull, I'm like, that is striking. I don't know who this that's who's doing the art too, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So. And then they have a little bit of
that one
art
preview
on page 43.
panel. Yeah.
The size of it makes me think it's like a 2-page spread.
Yeah,
I guess it could just be a half page. So
now there's also a first issue of a 6-issue series in Image called the Enfield Gang Massacre, and I only flagged it because it's a western thriller, and I thought it's been a long time since I've read any kind of western, and it might be kind of cool to check this out and see what it would be like.
Well, you can tell us.
I will. Yeah, I'll report back. Okay, so on page 52, have you gotten that far, or are you guys past?
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna say on page 50, this Local Man Gold. It's like, is Image bringing back Valiant? I mean, because that's a Valiant cover, is what that is. So,
yeah, it is.
It says it includes heroes like Cyberforce, Street Angel. So it's got, they're pulling in some old
Image characters, yeah. Boof and the Bruise Crew. Oh my gosh.
Never heard of that.
Yeah. I've randomly picked up a few issues in collections that I've bought, so that's the only reason why I've not read a single issue of Boof, but I have heard of it. Aerosmith, we talked about that in the past.
Well, yeah, I know there was a resurrection of the series, right? I just was going to ask you guys, was this, as far as you know, since I'm assuming it is because it's got Carlos Pacheco artwork, that it was just it's the trade for the original series back in the early 2000s? Yes, you think?
Yeah, it says collects Aerosmith Volume 1, number 1 through 6.
I think this is the most recent one.
Oh.
I don't think this is old stories. I think this is the Aerosmith that started just a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
So he was still around at the time, so I guess that's okay. Could be. More likely.
Well, and they list 2 other artists, so somebody else maybe finished it.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Who knows? So I don't, other than mentioning Firepower issue 26 is listed, I don't have anything else in Image. So
yeah, I don't either.
Okay, Boom. I know, but most of you like that Mini Deaths of Layla Starr much more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
But they are giving that basically I like to call it an artist edition, or you can call it a sketch edition, where you're just getting a black and white version of just the pencil and inks, which really surprises me that they're featuring that, as a, on the very first page of Boom. So
well, I think it's because of the rare flavors on the second page of Boom, which is the same creative team. It's their new book that's coming out, so they're kind of using that as a promoting one another kind of thing. Is they've got that little ash can coming out,
using that to prime the pump for rare flavors.
Well, even then they should flip that. They should have the rare flavors take up a page and a half, and then have the Mini Deaths of Layla Starr be the little half page. So,
which the colors were like one of the most fantastic parts about
they
Layla
really
Starr.
were.
I thought.
That's right. Yeah.
So pulling the colors out is like, okay, that artwork was neat, but man, those colors were awesome.
Yeah, there are certain things that I look at and I like them better as black and white. But you are 100% correct. I don't think this is one of those.
Yeah.
Like anything Jack Kirby drew looks better black and white than it does. It actually looks better just pencils and no ink.
Yeah.
Than it does inked and colored. So it's yeah.
But
I'm not going to pick it up.
It's odd that they've got an ash can for sale.
Yeah.
That they're actually like it's instead of throwing them for free or whatever. But
I flagged 892 the Mech Cadets in the very next page, and I don't remember why, except maybe it's because it says it's
number 1.
It's now a Netflix series, and I wasn't aware of that.
Netflix animated series.
Oh, that I definitely didn't know. Okay.
Well, I look at books like this, and all I think about are like those, and I'm going to offend some people when I say this, a lot of those cheesy anime mech cartoons that would used to be on like PBS or whatever, growing up.
Cheaply made.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's right up there with like Power Rangers for me. I know people love Power Rangers. I never understood it. How
dare you?
It's not. It's not for me. Let's put it that way.
I don't have any big buy-in on Power Rangers either.
Some of it's just the generation.
Yeah. But we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
On 115, I don't know if that's where everybody else is at.
I think I'm done in Boom. So
okay,
yeah.
I got a couple more things in Boom. 115 is the We Only Find Them When They're Dead Deluxe Edition, which collects all 15 issues. That's a series that we read the first volume of, and I would like to get back to reading volume 2 and 3 one of these days.
So I want to talk about that since you brought it up. I wasn't going to bring this up, but since you brought it up, I did read the second volume.
Oh yeah.
So 2 things. One, they do like a 30-year time jump from the end of volume 1 to the start of volume 2.
Holy cow. Okay.
But they're still going through like 3 different time periods in that book, which makes it very tough to follow.
Yeah.
And something that we missed when we read volume 1. So you remember the last big thing that happens in volume 1 is one of the gods, right? Comes back through. Yes. Okay, and it like screams. That's like the end of the series, into volume 1.
Yeah.
Well, so 2 things: the god comes through, screams, and then dies. Just so you know, but it came through. It was, if you go back and compare the artwork, it had the face of the captain of the ship that made the run for it. So it was the captain of the ship was the god that came through at the end of We Only Find Them When They're Dead. I totally missed that.
Oh.
And I don't remember if either of you guys caught that or not.
I didn't pick up on it, no.
Not at all.
So they make that very clear in the second volume, but again, it does this skip. It's okay, but I don't know. I'll probably read the third volume since there's only one more volume.
Right.
But it is tough. It's not a book that you should like. You literally should be taking notes as you are reading this
Ooh.
book.
Well, maybe I don't want to continue to read this.
Well, you know how it was in the first one. I mean,
Yeah.
we read how many times, and then even as we were
We're
going
still
through
discovering
the
things.
episode, like we were figuring out new things on a fourth time through. For me, it is just like it is dense. So there's a lot there. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your pick notes.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. And then on 124 is the Dark Crystal Creation Myths, the complete collection. So this seems to include all three books of the Creation Myths, which were kind of the series that who was it that had Brian Froud had kind of taken the lead on kind of creating the story. But then we've got different writers and artists on. Brian Froud is the co-creator of the Dark Crystal. So this was a really cool series. I only read it digital. I don't have it physical. And this collects all three of those books. And it says this is the first of four definitive Dark Crystal hardcover collections that are coming out. So that would look cool on a shelf also.
Have you rewatched the Dark Crystal in the last 10 years?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's it scared me to death when I was a kid, and then I was like, I want more of that. And so I rewatch it every couple of years, and then I read any of the comics that come out. I read the series was really good, I thought, kind of to everything.
I had such fond memories of the Dark Crystal, and I introduced it to my kids many years ago, and they hated it.
They're like, "What the heck is this?
What is this that you are trying to get us to like?" And which is actually tying into my next pick, which is in Dynamite on page 129. Mike, were you done with Boom?
No, I had one more.
Okay, go ahead.
And it's real quick. It's page 116, Alice Never After. It's the second issue of 5. I don't know why I didn't talk about this last month, but it's these are the kind of books that I always kind of like a rethinking of those traditional fairy tales or fantasy fiction, and it looks pretty cool. The art looks good. Dan Panosian's the writer, and he's no slouch. So, do you guys remember talking about this, or did we?
No,
skip
I don't
over?
remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember us talking about it at all.
I think we talked about the original, because this is the second story of that. Like there was a Alice Ever After, maybe
that's what it was.
And we talked about issue 1 of that, which was probably 6-8 months ago. Who knows?
Okay.
But this is the kind of the follow-up series to that. So, but yeah, I remember us talking about it originally.
That's what I'm remembering, I guess. Okay. All right, Scott.
All right, so going on to Dynamite, page 129, you have Fire and Ice #1. Now, this is one of those, kind of like the Dark Crystal in a way. It's something that it was, there in I want to say the 70s is whenever this animated movie first came out. But it's it's based off of a Frazetta painting, Ralph Bashki, who did like some of the Lord of the Rings cartoons. So Dynamite is now taking this cartoon, turning it into a series. Now the big plus that they have going for it is they do have Bill Willingham of Fables doing taking on the writing duties, which does give it some promise. But the downside, since it's a Dynamite book, they have 20 plus variant covers for this book. So I'm torn, because I really think if I were to sit down and watch that again, I would not care for it, because whenever I was watching this as a child, you didn't have as much, as many choices as you do for animation that you do now. I just don't know if it's going to hold up. So should I just leave this with my memories in the past, or should I just say I'm just gonna skip it. So I don't know. I'm undecided yet.
I didn't realize that this was a movie or a cartoon or anything before this, and all I could think of looking at the kind of what looks like maybe the main character is, did they not do like a Batman, like a Bruce Wayne in like a prehistoric era where he had a cowl that kind of looked like this at one point in time?
Whenever he was shot in Final Crisis and was sent, he wasn't shot. He was the Darkseid's Omega beam killed him, but it didn't really kill him. It sent him back in time. And
is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, he started living his life through the ages, and he had a wolf pelt or cowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
I agree.
That's all I could think of was that.
Yeah.
Well, the cartoon is from 1983.
83.
So,
okay.
So it does predate Final Crisis by a couple of years.
I didn't know there was a cartoon until I read the interview with Bill Willingham. But if you mention Frank Frazetta, it usually perks my ears up, and I would probably get either the main cover or the Frazetta movie poster art cover, because I don't know what the interior arts will be like. I don't know what the story would be like, but I like this kind of Conan type fantasy. It's kind of like the Last Barbarian series that we got, or that we were talking about a few months ago.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the trade was solicited for that in this. So
yeah, and I've got all the issues at home. Haven't read them yet.
Oh, see, I only got the first issue and I haven't read it either. So,
yeah.
But I don't know. It's if Bill Willingham was not writing this, I would not even consider it.
Yeah,
that does give me enough pause to make me think about picking this up. And there is a Mahmoud Asrar cover. He did some of the Conan artwork on the Marvel series. So that I wish he was doing the interiors. Then I would be a 100% pickup with Willingham Asrar. But now I don't know. I probably will get it, at least the first issue, but I don't know. Again, it's just Dynamite, just variant covering it to death. Just
oh yeah.
Well, what they sell is mostly TNA.
Mm-hmm.
So they benefit from, if they get customers that buy it just for that, well, they put out more covers with that, and they get more sales.
Yeah, you'll notice most of the covers that they show have the female character on them. So
that's weird.
Yeah, surprise. So
I don't understand that.
Well, in other Dynamite books, there's another new Disney villains that kicks off this month with Hades #1, which I just noticed as I was looking through this. All of the variant covers, because there's a lot of these, of course, too, all have a little pending licensor approval underneath them. So I'm guessing Disney hasn't actually approved any of these covers yet, which is interesting.
Yeah. I'm sure they approved most of them. They look pretty straightforward. So,
but yeah, this is a series focusing on Hades. He's gathering a group of people together to find the Golden Fleece of Colchis. So yeah, if you're familiar with Hades and the Hercules cartoon movie series, all that jazz, or just Hades as the Greek god of the underworld, this will follow him. Hades has always been one of my more favorite villains. I like his witty banter.
You know, I don't think I watched the whole Hercules movie, but my kids did, and they didn't really like the animation style of Hercules. And I tend to agree with that, you know, just the angular figures or characters or whatever. So I was gonna, I picked up Maleficent for my granddaughter, and she would be fine with that. I don't think I've given it to her yet, but Hades is just a little bit too much. I don't know that I would give that to an 8-year-old yet. He's pretty scary.
Mm-mm.
She needs to learn about the Lord of the Underworld as soon as possible, Mike.
Well, I'll play the Chris, was it Don't Pay the Ferryman by Chris de Burgh.
There you go. Yeah.
My next thing's on 212.
I'm on 207.
I got a 190.
Okay.
And the 190 actually is just a note. Aftershock has a whole section in this book no new books. It's all just resolicits.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I just thought I'd
Yeah,
point it
they're
out.
in this weird status of just existing until they get through their bankruptcy situation.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
is that
right.
what's going on?
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're just kind of like
Please buy our
they're in
truck
a
so we
Yes.
don't have to.
they're in a hover
Stop.
pattern right now. Yeah, we're still here. Don't look at the fine print. We're okay.
Yeah, I got 212, 213 somewhere around there.
I figured you, Chad, would have 207, the Quentin Tarantino sort of like biography.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it was. I think it was in the Cat Buzz at the very beginning of the book too. But Tarantino, that it's what it's called is Quentin by Tarantino, and I don't know. I just loved his work. Some more than others, but it seems like kind of a neat thing to read. It's yeah. What is it? How big is it? It's $25 for 128 pages. So.
And it's written by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So 212 and 213 from Titan. We have Blitmap, which is the first issue of a 6-issue series. Has a couple of terms in here that are like solar punk instead of cyberpunk.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. But what it also appears to do, and it's going to be like this interactive comic, but basically it's almost like, and I'm going to have to check this out because I'm going to see how they pull this off. But it's almost like they're taking NFTs and putting them into something that actually is fungible in the covers. And they are implying that each issue is a unique cover. I'm not for sure, exactly if that means there's just not. They show 9 different covers. And so is it just 9 different covers, or is literally every single cover going to be a unique cover? So again, it's taking that NFT experience and brings it to something, fungible as opposed to non-fungible. So I'm going to pick up at least the first issue. I may have to go ahead and do the second and third just in case I do like it. It's going to be interesting to see what it happens.
I think I'm gonna pick this one up too because I feel like it's talking about they're blind bagged and like you said, there's 3 different images for covers, and then there could be maybe unlimited color variations is what they're talking about for that, and they're talking about digital experiences, digital interactions. Seems like they're really thinking about the potential ways to expand comic book reading to the future. With something like this.
Yeah, a transmedia experience.
Yeah.
So, but that's also, I wonder if it's going to go as far as like it does with NFTs, where you have like certain covers that have certain characteristics are rarer than covers with other characteristics, which makes those particular covers worth more money than some of the other base. I don't know. It's going to be crazy.
Interesting.
So, and I guess there's something related to Twitter for this Blitmap. I'll have to maybe check that out to get the feel for what's coming on. But I'll probably pick that up. Just take my money.
My next thing's on 264.
Let's see. I'm on. Well, let's see. I don't know what page that is. Well, Mike, it's actually just a question. Is when did Dark Horse, because I've been using Pullbox and didn't realize that Dark Horse was here in the back of the book now. So when did that happen? How long ago did that happen?
This is the first month it's completely been in the back.
Okay.
I think that they've had a couple of pages in in like the front, and then maybe they're like issue 2 and beyond is back here. This is the first time that I can remember that everything has been in the back completely.
Okay.
Yep,
all right.
that is exactly right. It was either last month or the month before where I noticed that they had a Dark Horse main section, but then they had back of the book content as well. And now it's all back of the book.
It's wild.
Oh, I just noticed something on. Okay, so what page were you on? I'm sorry.
264.
Okay, go ahead.
236. I
Yeah.
haven't
Okay.
got. I think this is the first time I've ever promoted something from Frank Miller Presents. But this Pandora,
Mhm.
The Awakening, Volume 1.
This is the trade. Yep.
It's a trade now, yeah. And I think I might pick it up just to see how Emma Kubert's arts has evolved. There was
Did you not pick up the first issue of this?
No, I did not. No,
Oh, okay.
I was going to, and maybe I didn't have it. Sometimes I miss out or don't see what I have dog-eared, and I miss it. But I intended to, and I read her ink blot, and this art in here looks a little bit better even. So I'm thinking about getting this trade.
I think I had the first issue. I didn't get any after the first issue. I don't think so. I have to.
Did you read it? Do you
I
remember?
I have not read it yet. I'm sorry.
And 241, Shad, I thought this is one of them, where comic books crosses over with rock and roll. You got Evanescence, Echoes from the Void. So if any Evanescence fans out there want to read some stories that are based or inspired by the band's musical catalog, this is where you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about I forget her name. That's the singer.
Amy Lee.
Her voice is crystal clear and strong as I've ever heard a female voice. I mean, it's so sharp. It's almost Ann Wilson-ish.
Okay.
In that strength. But man. Okay. I'm sorry. What'd you guys say you were?
I was at 264.
Mm-hmm.
I did reference the new massive publisher or massive publishing, and they've got this Sean Gordon Murphy. He's the guy that did Batman White Knight. He's got a book called Plot Holes, and they're really hanging their hats on it, and they are promoting some other stuff that they've got. But Sean Gordon Murphy seems to be the biggest name that they've got so far.
Well, you mean Wesley Snipes wasn't big enough?
For comics, no.
Because for anybody who's listening at home, we figured out beforehand that Massive is the rebranding of Whatnot Publishing.
And it still says Whatnot Publishing at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, Whatnot's they say it's an imprint of Massive.
So they're playing it off like Massive was always there all along, and Whatnot didn't have its own publishing.
Right, and I don't think that's genuine at all. I don't think it is.
They definitely did not have Massive on that quested #1.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. And it's Whatnot and I think it's tied to the whole video auction
site.
Yeah, Whatnot's that auction site. Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of the problem is like after that first month of Whatnot, in the subsequent catalogs, I just flip the page on Whatnot because I think it's all just going to be nonsense. But now, like, I'm looking at these and I'm looking at Crashdown. It's like, man, is that a book that I probably should have considered? Because it's kind of like that sci-fi feel to it. It's only 3 issues. I don't know. Maybe I should have picked that up. And I don't know. Maybe whenever FOC comes, maybe I'll add that to the list. So just a little sci-fi experience. Ben Templesmith is the artist, and this is why I skipped it. Comic Tom is the writer. I think he's just like an Instagrammer or something like that.
Oh, I got
you. So okay, I'm out again. Never mind.
I picked up the Ninja Funk was one of the.
That was the first one. You're right.
Yeah, I got Ninja Funk. And it wasn't good, but I will tell you that they definitely were trying to make an interactive experience because they had like printed within the artwork were QR codes. And we know Dan Brown loves QR codes. And you could scan them and there would be music that they had written that was specifically for those scenes in the page. Like it'd be like this fight scene and you'd scan it and you'd listen to the music while you read it. I thought it was really cool. It was a little bit laborious, obviously, to try to do 4 or 5 times within a book, but A for effort there.
Yeah. 264 then, or do you have anything else before 264, Mike?
No.
Okay.
264 is from Dark Horse, is the Lego Space 1978 through 1992, which is a hardcover book focusing on the Lego history as well as the pop culture history through that time frame, filled with a bunch of facts, trivia. If you're a Lego fan, this seems like a kind of a cool collection of information, stories, history, trivia, all kinds of fun stuff for you.
270 IDW. I'm upset. So they apparently have a crossover, Endless Summer. And in that crossover, you have Sonic the Hedgehog, Saturday Morning Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, My Little Pony, and sadly, they are throwing Dungeons and Dragons Saturday Morning Adventures into this Endless Summer crossover. That is upsetting me. I didn't even notice until flipping through here that this was part of that. And it's like, now am I going to have to deal with the unicorn meeting up with My Little Ponies? And I'm getting a little sick in my stomach. I'm going to be struggling about whether or not I'm going to pick that one up or not. And then on 272, The Rocketeer in the Den of Thieves. I didn't know last month that this was a one shot, if it's a multi-issue series. So it's at least 2 issues. They still don't say.
They may not know either.
Yeah. We'll finish it when people stop buying it. So but anyway, Rocketeer is continuing on 272. My next thing's not till 300.
Same.
283. So there was a time when the first thing I looked at in the Sunday funnies was Calvin and Hobbes. And that's going back a lot of years because Bill Watterson retired in 96. And I'm sure I had a couple of little books of, Calvin and Hobbes strips, but this is for $20, 288 pages of what they're calling one of the most popular comic strips of all time. And I would say that's pretty accurate. Just the imagination of Calvin and his stuffed tiger Hobbes. It was a joy, and it brings back so much nostalgia for me to see this. It's definitely going to be ordered by me. And I mean, it was something my wife and I would both read between it and Far Side. I mean, those were 2 I had to always look at every Sunday. On that same page, we haven't talked about this. It's been on some other pages, but I see, is this new, this Overstreet Access? Overstreet's going online with its own database and price guide information. Have you seen that?
They had I know that's been at least one prior previews. I don't know if it's further back than that. What page you say that was? 290?
283 is where I see it.
Okay.
It's on some other pages too, but
so I don't know. Well, let me just see. I have here at my fingertips the internet. I'm going to open a new tab and go to overstreetaccess.com.
I wondered for years, decades, why they didn't have their own. I mean, for as long as the internet has been around, why they didn't have this. And now you've got, CLZ, which we use, all 3 of us, and for pricing, it goes through a third party. It's the second time they've gone through a different third party, but
right.
Of course, there's a different method than what I think Overstreet would use, but I always wondered why they didn't do it themselves, because they're sort of the godfathers of comic pricing, right or wrong.
I can tell you why they didn't. When you have a cash cow, you don't want to do anything to disrupt the cash cow.
Yeah.
But now that all the online services have basically made their printed Overstreet guide worthless,
right?
They know now that they have to do something, and I hope for their sake that they haven't waited too long to make this change.
Sure.
And they basically have 4 different tiers of pricing. They have a free tier, which just gets you access to the database. You can view the information, publisher title, issue, story arc, characters, and contributors. Then it starts at $3 a month. You can actually view the pricing information, get like newsletters. $5 a month, now you get the ability to add issues to want lists, access to collection management, but you only have quote unquote one collection of up to 5,000 issues. So Dan Brown would be out of, he would still.
Will they limit you to 5,000 issues in
5,000 issues in your collection.
Oh.
You can add preferred retailers. There's a mobile app at that point. So for $5 a month, you can get the mobile. And then at $9 a month, you get unlimited issues, 5 different collections, and discounts on certain products. So anyway, it's live. I haven't created an account. That's just what I know from just browsing the page for just a little bit. So
all right.
Feels a little pricey even at the $5 tier to be that much to get pricing information, when quite frankly, if I want pricing information, I'm not going to Overstreet anyway. I'm going to eBay and looking at sold listings. Yep. So, it's I Overstreet is one of those things where, like, even when I was buying Overstreet, it wasn't for the pricing, it was for some of the information that they give you, like, oh, this is the first appearance of this character, the keys, stuff like that. Yeah. Whenever, because a lot of times you go to a comic show and they just don't have good internet access. Some of the company asks me a question, I don't know the answer off the top of my head. A lot of times I can find it in the price guide.
Yeah.
So, and I only buy a price guide every 3 or 4 years. I don't buy one every single year from these. So good luck to them. Hope it works, but I'm not going to be rushing to sign up for it. So, let's see. My next thing is not till 300. So.
Yep.
Okay, you're good.
Good. Okay. All right. So page 300. I mentioned J. Michael Straczynski earlier talking about Thor, right? Well, he's got a new series called The Madness. This is from AWA, and basically it is a superhero revenge story. So apparently we have this government superhero. The government no longer needs the hero. They try to kill the hero. Some of the hero's family members are killed in the attempt, and this hero wants revenge. So they are sending other superheroes after this hero to take them out. Kind of has even a little bit of an Invincible feel to it, in that, the father goes after the superhero team and they fight each other. And so I don't know, 6-issue series. I like a lot of things that J. Michael Straczynski has written. So this, I dig this initial cover for the main cover for issue 1. So I'll probably at least give this a shot.
Yeah, I have it marked as well.
Same.
304. Anybody? Okay, so from Blacktooth Comics, you've got the Cryptidnals. That's an odd pronunciation, I think, but the tragic history of La Rosa revealed. I don't know. I just thought this cover with all the reds and the shade of reds was really neat looking. Of course, there's the word cryptid in it, which means nothing at Muddy Monster Comics. But it is kind of like Mexican folklore, Aztec. I don't know if Mayan is in there any at all, but I don't know. The cover.
There was a movie about the Curse of La Llorona like a few years back.
Oh, okay. So I'm not familiar with that. So, but anyway, I thought this looked interesting. I'm interesting enough that I'm going to give the first issue a shot. So, 332 is my next thing.
Same.
I got 308. It's put out by, who is this? Blood Moon Comics. Yeah, you knew I was going to say that.
Well, no, I just.
That's the only thing on that page. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comic book trivia number 1. This is a young comic book fan who he makes a wish to only ever have to know comics. He's teleported to another dimension. I don't know why they hyphenated that. Where he, now in the role of the reader, must prove his worth by answering 150 comic book trivia questions. I like trivia. I like comics. So I don't know what the heck,
I saw that, and I like that they they made the trivia book a story instead of it just being just a book of trivia. It was actually
I'm putting that one down too. That's cool.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why they have teleported hyphenated though.
Okay.
Because initially teleported was at the end of a line, and then when they changed the text, it got moved over, and they forgot to remove the dash, and they added it to another.
It made me pronounce it that way. I said,
yes.
Teleport Ted.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a proofread. That's a proofread error there. So at least that's what I go with. So all right, Shad, 332, go.
332 is our first book from Distillery, which we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about Distillery yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
So Distillery is the new imprint of like a creator-owned imprint, which I don't quite understand the difference between something like Distillery and something like Image. But they are. There's a lot of people that back it. I think most of the people that are in the story listing here are people that are behind the scenes on this as well. You got people like Scott Snyder and Ram V. You've got Jamie McKelvey. You've got who's some Francesco Francavilla, Becky Cloonan. There's a lot of names on here. James Tynan the Fourth, that and Stephanie Phillips that have contributed to this and are in some way also part of the backing crew, I guess, for this as well. But this is what's it say? An anthology book called The Devil's Cut is their first, and it's kind of a one-shot book that we've got here. $10 for 72 pages, and they're redacting the artists that are doing the different variant covers on this. Mm-hmm. So we just get the Jock cover. The A cover is the only thing we see currently.
And I'm going to say it's because they don't know.
I like that.
Yeah, I marked this too. I'd forgotten about that being that whole new imprint. So whenever I saw this, but the anthology, it definitely has a sci-fi look to it initially. Mm-hmm. Though I can't imagine that all the stories are going to be science fiction. That wouldn't really make sense to have everybody who's part of this rewriting science fiction stories. So I expect we'll get a lot of variety, but you will also probably see, well, obviously there's going to be a lot of first appearances.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if it was going to be like a previews, essentially, of like, mm-hmm. Here's some books that are going to end up being their own series after this one shot.
Yeah. So what I think is different from Image, to your point, Chad, is that if I'm remembering correctly, what I read before was that, you know, the guys that have created this are the old Comixology guys.
That's right, yeah.
And I think there's going to be digital content available sort of Substack-like in advance of the printed versions, maybe. I may be completely wrong. I'm just going off my memory of what I read or heard online, but it's got a digital presence and still creator-owned. So,
and it seemed as though maybe there's some profit sharing that goes into it, not just for your own title, but if Scott Snyder's book does really well, then Stephanie Phillips is going to be able to benefit from that in a way as well. Maybe something along those lines.
You know, you got two tiers of creators. You got the founders, and then you've got mm-hmm. the friends of.
Right. Yes.
So that tells me some of them are more financially in on this, like, you know, Cloonan and who's some of Azzarello, Snyder, Tynan.
Well, here, if you notice on page 333, they have that QR code. So I just went ahead and scanned in the QR code.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And they take you a page which gives you some information. You can sign up for a newsletter, or you can apparently get text messaging if you want to sign up for that. Creators own their work and a piece of Distillery itself. Still, that sounds a lot like Image to me.
Uh-huh.
So they bring it, right? But the thing is, they're gonna have limited edition comics. So this has almost got a little bit of that Bad Idea feel to it, except you're actually gonna be able to get the books.
Yeah.
So premium oversized limited edition single issues, premium limited edition merchandise, physical and digital. All right, digital done different. You buy, you own, you can sell, so you can actually sell your digital copies.
That's interesting.
Creators get a cut of every time. No NFT hustle or crypto hassle. And then, of course, they have the founding creators Mirka Andolfo, Brian Azzarello, Mark Bernandin, Elsa Charretier, Becky Cloonan, Lee Garbett, Jock, Joel Jones, Tula Lote, Jamie McKelvey, Junko Mizuno, Stephanie Phillips, Scott Stiver, James Tynion IV, Ram V, and a founding editor, Will Dennis. So there you go. That's everything from that page.
So the question for you guys is, are you going to sign up?
I just did.
Yeah, and I only hadn't because I was reading the stuff, so I'm absolutely signing up for the newsletter. Let's see if I can. Oh shoot! It automatic when I put it on my phone, it put in my phone number, but that's a landline, so I won't be getting text messages on that number. So.
And I am gonna get this book. I mean,
yes,
I'm an anthology guy, so I was in from the get go, and I like a lot of these creators on here. So
I like the name, and I liked the cover art, and I like the fact that it was an anthology. So, and it's introducing a new publisher. So yeah, I was in too. I'd forgotten about the whole distillery thing. My next thing, I didn't put the page number down. Where are you guys at?
I'm
go
at.
ahead.
Oh, sorry. 350.
Okay.
I think I'm after that. So go ahead.
Are you after that, Chad?
Yes, I am. I'm 353.
This is just. They didn't have it last month, I don't think, but the feature, a creator you should know, and they're talking about Alex Toth this time, beginning his career at the young age of 15 and quickly rising to be one of the most iconic artists in the world of comics and animation. Alex Toth inspired a generation of fans through his body of work, both as an artist and a writer. He worked through the mid-40s and early 50s. He worked at DC, Famous Funnies, Atlas, Marvel, and others. His portfolio includes Green Lantern, Mystery in Space, Strange Adventures, Unseen, World's Finest, and Zorro. And then later on, people began to know him for his work for Hanna-Barbera, doing storyboards for Space Ghost, Challenge of the Super Friends, Fantastic Four, Herculoids, Birdman, and Johnny Quest. So he's just one of those. He's OG. So I think it's worth bringing him up whenever we see this once in a while.
Oh my gosh. He was also involved with Thundarr the Barbarian.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah,
with Jack Kirby. And I remember reading stories where Kirby talked about how he got so much more respect from the animation team for Thundarr than he ever got from Marvel and DC, because all of these animators had grown up reading his stuff. For him to come in and be the creative designer on Thundarr, that he was just blown away by it, by the appreciation that he received there. So
that's cool. He died in 2006. Before you turn the page, though, look across at the opposing page of the new Overstreet that's coming out, and
give me the page number again.
It's 350 was where Alex Toth was, so 351. But it's I think this is a remake of Avengers 3, which but anyway, it's Kevin Nolan doing this, and man, that is one great looking cover. It's got Hulk and Thor and Iron Man and Submariner and Giant Man and the Wasp. Is that an homage of 3?
Should be.
It is. It says right there on the right.
Right beside it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I remember right, it's flipped. It's the view from the Hulk as opposed to. I don't think that's the same. I don't think that's the same view. I think it's
reversed the POV.
But here, yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking to see if I can find a. It's terrible now when you type in something like Avengers 3, and I get images for the movie, not for the comic. I mean, it's Avengers Endgame is what's showing up as Avengers 3 as opposed to issue 3 of Avengers. No, it's okay. It is the same point of view. So never mind. I'm a big liar. Liar. I just had in my memory it was the Hulk was in the background. But what do I know?
That'd be cool.
Yep.
353. I have The Antagonist #1, which is a story about a family, these married supervillains, Destructus and Ultima, who are retired and have tried to keep their past a secret, but their past keeps coming back, and so they have to the family has to get together in order to survive. I thought it was kind of a cool thing. I don't know if I've seen a story from that perspective of retired supervillains trying to just live their life and skirt by unnoticed. So
that looks really cool. I like that.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I'll be honest, I looked at that cover image and thought it was something to do with Malcolm X, and I just flipped the page.
Oh.
And now as I read that, that sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. It's a good thing we do this. We all buy more
exactly.
comics.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm adding that to the list.
Me too.
Yeah. See, I'm in Source Point, which I forgot to put down the page number, so.
You didn't flag 355?
Apparently not.
There's new Bone stories.
Oh, I've gotten so used to just seeing
reprints.
The reprints. I just assumed that was a reprint.
Yeah. More Bone, Tall Tales on page 355 is some new Bone from Jeff Smith.
Well.
And we're going to see Jeff Smith in a couple of weeks, me and Atchar.
That's right. Man, oh gosh. I've got to sit down and get my books I want signed and figure out which creators I want to get in line for, because there's going to be a bunch there.
Yeah.
There's a ton there. That is such a good show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm up to 392.
Okay. That's where I'm at too.
Oh, then I knew that's why I flagged it, because I knew you would flag it.
It looks like kid stuff, but it's for adults, so it must
exactly, yeah. The crow is pecking out the eyeball.
You got anything before that, Scott?
Nope.
Okay. 392 from Oni Press is, I'm stalling while I'm finding my page, is a new horror book. It's 3 issues, and it's going to come out, I think it says bi-monthly. Dwellings #1, and it's described as small town horror with a Saturday morning edge. So it looks like comic strip style, even like the pages are kind of yellowed in the preview ones, which I love. So it definitely reminds me of like the old Casper comics, or
Richie Rich, or
Richie Rich, Harvey comics. The way the cover design is, with a little TV screen showing their faces. That was
my first
Harvey.
comics for Harvey Comics. So so I'm all for this, but it's all like adult, like there's bloody kind of stabby knives, and I'm assuming that the language is going to be a little bit more adult, because it says not for children, definitely not for kids or cowards. So yeah, I'm definitely going to pick this up. You get 2 stories per book. It's one, and there's 3 issues, like I said, so it's not a large commitment, and it looks like it's gonna be fun.
72 pages. That's a pretty good sized book. So
yeah.
And if you look at the promo pages here, the character that has sort of a red jacket and the blue hair, when their hood is up, I'm telling you, that is no accident that they make it look like Wendy the Good Little Witch.
Yes, you are right.
That's not by accident.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm all in on this one. I dig it.
Can't believe how much Harvey Comics still resides in my brain.
Yes. 403 is my next one.
Okay, go ahead.
403, just it's kind of a monster sighting. There's a book called Bigfoot and Nessie: The Haunting of Loch Ness Castle. Totally a kids comic, but it's Bigfoot, and we're Bigfoot adjacent with Muddy Monster Comics, so I thought I would make mention of it. And it's the Loch Ness Monster, so who wouldn't want that?
I just saw this on 402. Along came a radioactive spider. Strange Steve Ditko and the creation of Spider-Man. So it's listed as a kids comic. It's a biography, I guess, talking about Ditko's time on Spider-Man. So I hadn't noticed that prior. So looks interesting for people who want a little bit of history. And I guess it says for kids, so
Yeah. I've got 412.
I still need to find where Source Point is. So
Oh yeah.
So I can tell you where I'm at. But I guess I'm past that. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. There's actually not. I realized I flagged 412, but that's because it's Scout Comics. But actually thinking of someone who's doing something a little bit different is Scout Comics. We've seen them do the digital cards for comics that they're selling, collectibles there. Not in previews, but in the Next Phase book, they are advertising comics and coffee sets. So they're selling digital comics with your little code with custom made coffee that is flavored or cooked or whatever specifically for that book. So there was like whatever series, and it has a unicorn coffee. I don't know what it was specifically, but I was like, well, that's thinking outside of the box to try to get something going too.
Did you open up the By the Horns?
Yes, I've opened it up, and I think I've lost the card, but I downloaded the comic part,
Right.
which is the important part.
Did you read it or just download it?
Just downloaded it. It's in the digital to read pile.
I've got one of them too. Scott, you were looking for the page number for
I've got
Source
it.
Point?
I've got it. Yeah, we're just
Okay.
almost there. Yeah. So it's
found
on
it.
417, but what
Yeah.
I want to talk about is on page 422, and again, it's that murder by mail.
Oh, yeah.
That it's basically like the escape room in a comic. So the first issue should be here soon.
I was gonna ask you if you'd gotten it yet.
I haven't seen it yet, so hopefully it'll be around. Be around soon. Maybe it'll be at the shop whenever I get there this week. So
I'm excited. I didn't order one, but I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it.
okay, I went ahead and ordered the second issue, and I'm going to be ordering the third issue. So they're going to at least get my money for 3 of them, for sure. So then my next thing's not till 433.
My last one is on 431.
Okay.
So
And my last is 432. So go right ahead.
Well, dang, right there. On 431 is Neil Gaiman's Hansel and Gretel. So he is writing his take on Hansel and Gretel with art by Lorenzo Mattotti. I don't know how to say that name. Mattotti, we'll say. But yeah, I'd enjoy Neil Gaiman's writing, and so this is just him. He's done this quite a few times with classic fairy tales and done his kind of adaptation of it, and so this will be the Hansel and Gretel one.
Yeah. There's other stuff. I just noticed Paul Bunyan, Invention of an American Legend.
Yeah, I saw that.
I always liked Paul Bunyan stories. On the next page is my obligatory tomorrow's plug. You got Alter Ego number 184, and it's all about Tom Palmer, the longtime inker, embellisher for, I'd say, mostly Marvel Comics, if not completely. He was interviewed by Alex Grant and Jim Thompson, who I know from a podcast called Comic Book Historians. Those guys do a really good job doing interviews with people. Anyway, that's Alter Ego. I did notice also that, speaking of Neil Gaiman, that in this quarterly magazine called Tripwire, they look back at the Sandman's history, and by Neil Gaiman specifically. So
yeah, 35 years. I guess I didn't realize that this year was the 35th anniversary of Sandman.
Yeah. So that's what I had.
Well, I'm going to add something to tomorrow's on page 433 with the Pacific Comics Companion.
Mm-hmm.
So Pacific Comics was a line back in the late 80s, early 90s, kind of in that, boom phase where we had a lot of this is where there was a start to the creators starting to get a little bit more credit, having a little bit more power in their comics, but it still kind of resided with the comic company. But you had like Kirby and Mike Grell, and of course Dave Stevens with Rocketeer kind of got their start there at Pacific Comics. So that's kind of an interesting history of some of the past stuff. Plus, it has a cover illustration by Dave Stevens, though I can't imagine it's completely by Dave Stevens, unless it's a reprint of something that he did previously.
I didn't know Bernie Wrightson was involved with them.
Well, almost all your creators at some point did something that they wanted to retain some ownership of, and they went to Pacific. So I think Neil Adams. I mean, it's like Kirby had like Captain Victory and Silver Star. I think were both at Pacific. I don't know what Sergio had there. I think that's where that might be where for Neil Adams, Ms. Mystic came from. Was she Pacific?
Was it Ms. Mystic? Yeah.
She might have been Pacific at the beginning. I mean, and a lot of these books jump publishers. I mean, like Ms. Mystic went from wherever it started, like Continuity, and then they didn't stick sometimes with these publishers very long.
Yeah. But Mike Grell, probably it's where he had the Star Slayer and maybe John Sable.
Could be. I can't remember.
Man, now you got me talked into this one too. I'm all about these reference books that will sit in my shelf and until I'm fully retired and I can just sit and read.
I hated that I didn't have like a game or anything from the flip side of the book to talk about. I was bad about getting through previews this time, so I'm gonna flip in this book real fast and see if any of these games jump out at me.
I got a couple of things over here.
Okay, go.
On page 23, there's a cool Muppets Deluxe action figures backstage box set, which has an action figure of Menomina, specifically, which it was like, I don't think I've seen a Menomina action figure, so that stood out.
I didn't realize that was actually a character. I just thought it was from the song.
Yeah, that's the dude's name.
Okay.
And then on page 26 is a concept for Han Solo, jumbo 12-inch figure. But it's just cool to kind of see those concept Star Wars characters sometimes from where they originally were at. And then on page 76, if anybody really wants it, there is a Law and Order Monopoly game.
I seen that too. I almost flagged it. No.
Okay, so I gave up on HeroClix a long time ago, but they still are producing them. And one of the things that they are doing now are what they're calling these iconics, ICONIX. Like last month, I think that's when they solicited like the 3 Spider-Man doing the pointing thing at each other, like that scene from In the Spider-Verse. Well, this time they are doing a couple more iconics, one of which is the Bane breaking the back of the Batman. But the other one that they are recreating is the slap. So the Batman and Robin slap, World's Finest 158. So who knows what type of effect that would have on HeroClix, but yeah. So anyway, just none of the other games really jump out at me, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, so do we have any investment picks? Anybody got anything that they wanna talk about investing in?
I've got a couple of them.
Oh gosh,
and I might take somebody's.
That's okay. Go right ahead. We can share them.
That's true. I think Blitmap #1 from Titan has a potential just because it's got a lot of different new experiences going on with it, with the individual bagged things, and just the fact that it could be a potential game changer for the industry if something catches on. With that, it might be the first comic to do blah blah blah. So that one stands out, and then obviously the Devil's Cut, the Distillery book, because you never know if Distillery is the next Image or whatever, and it could be the first the first appearance of, like you said, Scott, a bunch of characters.
Mike, you got a money pick?
Money. It's Magneto #1 with the New Mutant known as Iray in her first ever appearance.
Yes, they even make that clear in the solicit.
All caps.
Well, Well, I'm with you, Shad. The big one that you have to consider is the distillery book. I've lost there it is, The Devil's Cut, that one shot, because it's going to have so many new stories from a bunch of different creators.
Mm-hmm.
So it absolutely is the one that you have to. If you only pick up one, I think that's the one you have to pick up. From this catalog. So, what about what are you looking forward to, Mike? What are you looking forward to reading?
There's so many things, but I have to say Fire and Ice #1 by Bill Willingham.
Okay.
And it's under Dynamite, which it's not very often I am promoting the Dynamite book, but I'm going to at least read the first one and see how it goes.
All right. Shad, what about you?
I've got two on my side. Devil's Cut makes an appearance because I'm not only do I think it's a good investment pick, I'm really interested to see what the content is going to be in there. And then that Dwellings #1 from Oni Press, that goofy little Harvey kind of knockoff horror book I'm excited to get into that.
There's a few here for me that I'm looking forward to. I still haven't started the Daredevil and Echo series. It's of course the 4th issue. It's wrapping up, so it's good to see that that's all going to be out. I can sit down and just read that all at once. I am interested in the the apparent wrap up of the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil run with issue 14, and also I want to see what Kyle Starks is going to do with the Pet Adventures in Marvel Unleashed. So so there are a few things, and gosh, I mean, a lot of these. I'm surprised now as I'm going back through what I put down, and Fire and Ice. I wasn't interested until I noticed the second time through Bill Willingham. It's like, okay, that has a chance to be good. Blip Map's doing something different. That's going to be fun to at least experience that for the first time. There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff here.
I was the same. I started off really.
Yeah,
I started off really kind of low key on this month's previews, but kind of ended up going, I guess there's a lot of neat stuff that's coming up.
And there's a lot of new stuff, or it's either stuff that's wrapping up or new stuff. I mean, and even the Murder by Mail, I still want to read the first issue, so I'm still I still have that desire to see what that's going to be all about, moving forward. So
did either of you guys get Briar by
no
Chris Cantwell?
I have the first issue, as is the case many times, and I don't remember if I've read it or not.
Is that the Snow, the kind of the Snow White?
It's Sleeping Beauty. It's
Sleeping Beauty, yeah.
That's a version where the prince didn't kiss her to wake her up. He was like, hey, if I marry her while she's asleep, I can still inherit all of her lands.
Oh no!
And I don't have to put up with her objecting to anything I do. So
holy cow!
And then she finally does wake up, and it's pretty cool. It's like I said about that Alice in Wonderland.
Never After.
Never After, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alternative take on some of these.
So, Shad, what do we got coming up in episode 163?
163. We're gonna cover Gideon Falls volume 1 and The Killing Joke.
Oh, cool. And Mike, if somebody wanted to reach out to you beside podcasts at bergcomics.com, where they can get all of us, where would they do that at?
That would be at my email, m.atchison90@gmail.com, or on Twitter, Mike Atchison 5.
Shad?
You can find me on Facebook at Shad Schubert, SHAAD SCHUBERT.
And I'm Scott Reed. You can find me at bergcomics.com, BURG comics.com, with links to my social media, email address, eBay store. And with that, we will be back soon with another episode.
I've never had a night terror. Some people say they're pretty bad. But different than a nightmare. It's that feeling that you got something pressing on your chest and you can't get up. Okay. Like a feeling of half awake, half asleep. Of course, it's not spelled the same way as this book, but don't have a knight in armor standing over you, terrorizing you. Good, I guess. The double entendre or they overplay that. It's absolutely. I mean, it's all the time. You know, when it's Batman or if it's the Dark Knights. It all started with Frank Miller, right? Yeah, right, yeah. Oh my God, they beat that horse so dead. Yep. The Darkest Night. I'll be talking about something else they're beating to death in this episode. Oh yeah. So yeah, a couple of different things. So that'll become tropes.